Welcome everyone to the Chuck Jones Creative Side chat. We have had a blast doing these since I think May now when we launched this, and have gotten to meet some incredible people in incredible fields doing some very creative things. And tonight is no exception. We have the ultra talented, the super fantastic, I wanted to say Dan the Man, Sheriff is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it Bowden or Bowden?
It's Bowden.
Bowden. All right, I lost Scott Ryder. It's Bowden, it's not Bowden, and I feel like a moron because I've been saying Bowden since I met you. So you should have just been like, Ben, that's not the way it sounds. I want to introduce everybody to Dan Bowden, who I've had the pleasure to get to know over the last many years. He's not just a fantastic artist, but he's a wonderful human being to boot. And I wanted to thank you up front, sir, for your service as sheriff, which you did, and we'll kind of get into that background. And I have a high respect for you anyway, but I just wanted to say thank you for your service there.
Well, thank you very much, Ben. I'm honored to be here, and actually it was deputy sheriff. I didn't have the title of sheriff because that's an elected official, but I was a deputy sheriff.
Still, deputy sheriff's pretty darn cool. So I wanted to get into, and why I started with that and brought that up is because as deputy sheriff, right, you go from that to, who knew that you, I mean, obviously you knew that you had this talent, but you go into explode into this fine artist for Chuck Jones galleries, for all the stuff you were doing. And it was cool to see, you know, the pieces that you've come along with since we saw that first piece in the beginning at Red Dot. But what I wanted to do is go all the way back as we get to know you, sir. And
Sure.
This all start. I know you mentioned the high school painting and the stuff that you did for there, but where did this passion for art come from?
You know, as far back as I can remember when I was a young kid, it's something that came just super easy to me. I knew when I was like 4 or 5 that I could draw. You know, it's like, wow, you know, this is something that I always had a passion for. And I told my parents, you know, hey, I'm going to be an artist someday, you know. And I don't think they took me serious in that because they kind of saw me doing something different and tried to steer me away from that, which is unfortunate because, you know, I think every parent should really listen to what their kids want to do and try to help them along that path, you know. So art to me was always a struggle to try to get to the end result of what I wanted to do, which was art. And so, you know, even through high school, it was like I wanted to do art, but I was also good at music. So music came first before art. You know, it was like, it's crazy.
So tell me about you. You're in high school. You're drawing from a young age. You're creating. You know, you have this passion for it. And what was that first? Was there a first piece or like a second, some piece that you created in high school that was like, man, you know, it kind of gave you a confidence boost. You know, where people are like, I see why you enjoy doing this so much.
Yeah, it was like I started at the end of my junior year.
And
I started in a basic art class when I was a freshman.
Okay.
And I went to the teacher's class and it was like beginning drawing. And I was just like totally bored with this teacher because I'm like, you know, you're not really challenging me in this. I want to learn more. So I got out of his class, you know, I went through his class, and so I started going into kind of the arts and crafts end of the arts, doing ceramics, jewelry, you know, whatever. And then those instructors, they started challenging me because they noticed that I had this natural ability to do anything artistic, and they would challenge me, hey, do you know how to do stained glass? I'm like, no. So they're like, well, why don't you go out and learn how to do that and see if you can do that? So I went out, did some research, bought the materials. Next thing you know, I'm making stained glass. So they're like, you know what? I'm sending you back to this other teacher, and we'll see if he can get you started on doing painting or something like that. So at the end of my junior year in high school, I go in, he starts me off on a painting, and he's like, you know what? I want you back your senior year. I'm going to start you off on a big painting, and then we'll just see what happens. So I start this painting my senior year, and it's just like my free period coming in and painting. And all along the way, he's telling me, wow, you got this natural gift that I haven't seen in other students, you know. And as we're going along, he keeps on encouraging me, saying, you know, you're gonna win the district-wide contest with this painting. And I never even heard of that because I didn't know what this district contest was, because I didn't enter anything in for my freshman year until my senior year. So he's telling me, yeah, you're going to win this whole district wide with this painting. And you know, to me, I'm thinking, I don't see it. You know, it's just something I'm doing. I'm just putting paint down on canvas. And
That is some righteous hair, by the way, in that photo.
yeah, that was the style back then.
I mean, I'm jealous because I can't even grow that kind of hair. I can't even grow the hair you have. So
Yeah.
anyway,
This is all natural. But anyway,
you're in
so yeah, so I end up winning the whole district of Riverside County in California, and Riverside's a big county, you know, so there was a lot of high schools, a lot of artwork that was in this contest, and I ended up winning this whole thing, and got some money from it because I got the jurors grand award, first place, and I actually sold the painting to the school district. So it was gone. You know, I thought I'll never see it again unless I go down to the school district building. And what happened, how I got it back in my possession, is my wife Helen, I keep on telling her, hey, I got to take you down and see what I did in high school. And because when we first met, she didn't even know I could do art. So I tell her about this painting. She goes down to the school district, and somehow, I don't know how she does it to this day, but she talks them into giving her the painting. And she presented it to me on one of my birthdays as a, hey, look at this, what I got for you. And I'm just like, what the heck?
That's awesome.
I thought I'd never see this thing again. So I have it here in my studio now. It you know, draws me back to my beginning of art. So
Which and I love that, because you know, as we begin here and then we start to come, you know, into the path that you took career wise, you know, you didn't do art. What I need to know too is, what instrument did you play?
I'm a trombonist.
I never would have guessed that. I would have said drums. All right, trombonist. There you go.
Yeah.
So Dan, who has many talents and plays the trombone. Do you still play the trombone?
Yeah, I still do. Yeah,
You really?
I do.
I'm impressed, dude. I can't even play the recorder right. So I'm impressed by that. So we take it from high school, and you're into the art. You've won this. You won this contest. What happens next?
Well, I had plans to go to the Art Institute of Pasadena. That was my goal. And then again, you know, like I'm saying, parents, listen to your kids, because my parents said, we're not going to send you there. You know, if you want to go there, you're going to have to find out how to send yourself there, give money or whatever. And I would do it now in a heartbeat. I would find a way to get myself there. But at that time, I became discouraged. I got into my first marriage with somebody that I thought was going to get me to the ends by helping her out through college. We made a deal that I would get to go to the Art Institute once she got through college, but obviously that didn't work out. So I find myself working in a factory, making irrigation equipment. But all the while I'm still doing art, you know, for myself. I'm making through the band, because I went to the community college in Riverside, so I continued to play trombone. So I started to do. They did an annual calendar for a fundraiser, and so I find myself doing things like that, and like my early cartooning and stuff like that, just doing funny things. You know, cartooning has always been something that I found fascinating. So I'm doing these funny little drawings, and you know, still doing art, and um, I'm getting odd jobs because I'm taking stuff down to the printer, and the printer's like, "Hey, where'd you come from? You know, let me put your card out. You know, people will want to come and get hire you to do stuff." So um, I find myself doing all kinds of freelance jobs. Um, I illustrated a book for Sammy Nestico. He was a music composer. So, you know, I'm doing all kinds of art off on the side, and you know, I never lost that passion to do art. So,
So you go from that point, and you've got some gigs that you're getting. You're able to still express yourself, and you're just not, you know, you're getting it however you can, and you didn't necessarily get to go to the school that you wanted to. I can totally sympathize with that. And while you know, those aspirations, which sometimes come through, sometimes don't. So you get into this as you're still doing art. How does the deputy sheriff thing come about?
all right. So I really thought that I was on my way. I made a connection with this artist, Tito Moore. If you, he did, he worked for this company, Living Epistles, that did Christian T-shirts, and phenomenal artist. And he was going to bring me up. They had located to Oregon from California, and they were going to bring me on up there, and I was going to be in an art department. But that was something, another little leg in my journey that it didn't work out because their company went bankrupt. So it was like a 2.5 years of my life that I invested into, you know, going up there and making a new life for myself. That didn't work out. So here I am, discouraged again, and I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? I just can't seem to make this work. This artwork is a full-time thing. So my ex-wife, she's makes friends with somebody that's in the sheriff's department, and she comes home one day and she says, you know what? I'm going to become a deputy sheriff. And I'm like caught off guard. I'm like, what the heck? You know, I
That's
don't,
something you hear every day.
you know,
Right.
and so we get into this discussion, and I told her, I said, you know, I see myself doing that more than seeing you doing that. And she says, well, I bet you wouldn't even pass the test. So I'm like, you want to bet? So next thing I know, I go down, take the test, and next thing I'm in background investigations to become a deputy sheriff.
All off a bet. Like, could you do
Yeah,
it? Do that? Yeah, sure.
yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
So
So I
that becomes your career, and you've got, and how many years were you a deputy sheriff?
just short of 18 years I
18
served.
years. And then what county were you sheriff?
Riverside County.
Side County. So you were right at home in hometown,
Yeah.
protecting and serving, which is awesome. Still doing art, I imagine, like
Yeah.
what, you know, on the side, which I think is awesome because as I remember seeing your first piece at Red Dot, Me, Myself, and IE, right?
Yeah.
And I remember looking at it and being like, holy crap, who's this guy? Like, or girl, because you don't know because it's Red Dot, so the artist isn't on the thing. I'm like, that's an awesome piece. Like, I'm impressed. Scott, can you put that up on the screen real quick so we can see that? I want to reference. So this is your very first piece. It's for Red Dot,
Right.
is the charity gala that we do for the Chuck Jones Center for Creativity. It's a phenomenal piece. And then what I wanted to mention too as a segue in here is at chuckjonescatalog.com/Dan-Bowden, not Bowden, Bowden. You can take a look at everything that Dan's got in his catalog up there. There's some amazing art. We're going to circle through that while we have a conversation with Dan this afternoon. But this piece right here, there's so much in it. And what I wanted to, and why I wanted to kind of focus on this piece to start your, you know, your foray as you transition from sheriff to master artist, you've got some inspirational people art-wise, right, that are near and dear to you. And obviously one is Chuck Jones and the other is Norman Rockwell. And I wonder if, and I always find it fascinating to hear artists' inspirations, you know, who they look up to. So tell me about that. Tell me about that duo. Like, what does Norman Rockwell mean to you? What did Chuck Jones mean to you?
Well, Norman Rockwell, I think he's a phenomenal artist because, I mean, this guy, he painted basically every chance he got, you know. He was pumping out art every month for the Saturday Evening Post, you know, having to come up with something new every month. It's just like, wow, you know. And just the realism, just the quality, I always admired that in him. And I used to study his stuff as a kid and thought, man, if I could be half that good someday, wouldn't that be something, you know? So he was just one of these guys that I always admired. And when I looked at his stuff, there was always humor in his art. I'm like, man, you know, this guy's funny on top of it, you know, because he's got little hidden, if you look at his artwork, there's hidden things, expressions that he does on people. It's just, you know, he's incredible. So that was one of those guys that just like really inspired me.
So you have like which obviously Chuck and his sense of humor seems like it's a kind of a perfect combination.
Well, yeah,
And
I mean, growing up, shoot, you know, I don't know, TV was different back in the day, but you know, we just had limited channels before cable and all that. And after school, the thing to do was go home and turn on the TV and relax for a little bit. And Looney Tunes were always on, you know, and that was like, I grew up on that and just, I always found enjoyment watching that, you know, that's
so what was it that gravitated when you got the opportunity and you did this piece for Red Dot, which is an amazing piece. There's so much in it. Just like you said, in the little eccentricities in Norman's pieces that are kind of funny, you know, you look at this piece and then you look at it again and you find something new, and you look at it again and you find something new. It took me, I think, the fourth time of coming back around to notice that Bugs was reaching up to get the carrot in the glass. You know, and with Roadrunner lighting the dynamite, all this kind of good stuff that goes in it. What is it that brought you to this piece when you submitted? Was it something you heard? Was it something on a, man, I'd love to do something for this? And then how did this pour out of you?
Well, what happened was my wife and I, we took a trip down to San Diego, the gas amp district, and we were walking around and I saw the Chuck Jones gallery. And I told her, I said, Chuck Jones, he has something to do with cartoons or something, you know? So I said, let's go in there because that looks good, you know? And so we go in there and I start seeing all this Chuck Jones fine art in this gallery. And I'm thinking, I didn't know he painted, you know? I'm like, man, I could do that. And it just kind of sparked something in me. And being the introvert that I am, I'm like, just like talking to myself. And my wife's like, well, why don't you tell them you paint? So I'm like, I can't do that. So she speaks up to some of the gallery guys and they tell her about this Red Dot auction that's coming up. And it's just like, it's within just a short period of time before, because it was February when our anniversary is. And so the deadline for having a piece of art even done in time for the Red Dot auction was coming up real quick. So I'm all excited, you know, said, yeah, I got to do this. I got to do this. So come back and contacted Robert Patrick, the director, one of the directors at Chuck Jones Gallery, and he set me up with a blank canvas. And next thing I know, I was like, man, I got to come up with something. So um, I just started searching my head, and I think, man, you know, Norman Rockwell, you know, he belongs in the gallery, and Chuck Jones. I got to match those two together somehow. So that's where I came up with the idea of doing like the triple portrait of Wiley, because I knew that Wiley and Roadrunner were such pivotal characters that Chuck Jones had created. You know, it's just like I got to pay him, Chuck Jones, some honor in some way if I can try to pull this off. You know.
You know what I love? When you look at this piece, you not only did you paint, you drew him, you painted him, you have him looking at himself. You almost kind of find yourself looking at this image. Then you painted Chuck up at the top. You painted reference images that look like you would be actually looking at something, and you find yourself having to say, wait a second, this is a painting, because you kind of just drawn into it as if you're there. And that's what I love about this piece. So you get this, you put this in for Red Dot, and I think that's where I met you for the first time.
And you know, I haven't painted for like probably like 20 years. I hadn't painted anything on canvas for such a long time. So that was like, all right, I got to start painting again. So that
time to crack out the brushes.
Yeah. So this literally was just like just painting like crazy, just try to get it done.
Now, did that ignite? I would imagine that ignited something in you where you got something. It's for a purpose and a cause.
Yeah.
And you're getting to do something that you've always loved to do, that you wanted to do as a career path, and now you have an opportunity to do it in the setting of Chuck Jones and all of that, you know, like wonderful background. Did that just ignite? Was there something after you created this piece that you were like, man, I want to do more of this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was the next thing, is like, what do I do now? You know, I gotta somehow see if I can do this full time, because, you know, it started like just a fire in me that just like, you know, I gotta paint more, you know, it's just.
So I would imagine that and as we see behind you, you've got Always Watching, which is a work in progress, which is awesome. We love Ralph and Sam. So we wanted to, and thank you for having something up on the, you know, I know you're painting all the time, so it's cool to see your in progress work, and I love other artists and what they're pulling together. And you've got it there, and then you've got a Flintstones piece. Help me with the name of that one.
It's a play on the word foursome, you know, like when you
like F-O-R-E.
Obviously 4 people going out in golf, because you got Fred, Barney, and Wilma and Betty. So they're out with a foursome, but I titled it Foursome, spelled F-O-R-E, because Fred is swinging, and you know, you yell 4 when you golf. And look down a little bit further here. He left his golf ball behind. So that's where the humor comes in right there. You know, big swing and a miss.
Every time I go to hit the ball in golf, and when I'm supposed to yell 4, that's the time that I can't yell 4, and that's when it's going in someone's direction.
Yeah.
So love those pieces, and I know in a little bit here you're gonna paint live for us. But before we get to that, what I wanted to do is, Scott, if you can show some of the catalog images, and go ahead and pop those up. I know we're starting with Me, Myself, and IE. How can you not love Mark Anthony and Kitty, right? Where as you're coming up with these concepts, so Chuck Jones Galleries obviously sees the talent that you've got, the purpose and the meaning that you have behind it. And I have that piece behind me on an easel right now. So who is the ugliest of them all? I got to tell you, this is one of my, I love all the stuff that you do because I love the style. This is probably my favorite piece. And it's my favorite. The first time I saw it and saw everything that went into it, I'm like, man, you got that whole scene in one shot. I'm like, that's freaking hilarious. Like you got it all in one shot and you redrew, and to have that whole transition of, you know, the ugliest of them all to the, you know, where he's about to chase her on his magic carpet.
Yeah.
I love this piece. I think it was phenomenal. And we've got this as a limited edition. When you're coming up with things, and of course, Duck Dodgers in the 24th and half century, how could you not love these? What, like, how much are you sketching in concepts? Like are you writing ideas down and then you're sketching, or are you just sketching concepts? What's your process?
Well, I'll go back and I'll just start watching cartoons again, see if something will spark, you know, some type of event from the cartoon that will just kind of strike me as funny, or, oh, that's cute, or whatever, you know, it's some type of emotion that that kind of sparks something. And then I'm like, you know, how can I capture something from this cartoon that, you know, people will remember the cartoon by just looking at the painting. And so that's kind of my step, the process before I even start working on something. I kind of have an idea of what am I going to do? What am I going to tell in this painting?
So I ask every artist that we have on for our Creativeside chats, and I'm like, and guys have kind of a little bit of a different answer every time, but everybody's got something. You have a sketchbook, or you do loose sheets?
Well, I have sketchbooks. I do a lot of stuff on computer, a tablet. I don't know if you can point to that up there. When I would get off of working in the sheriff's department, I taught myself how to draw on a computer with my finger using. Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
you know, it was helping me relax and kind of get away from all that stress and stuff that comes along with doing that job in the sheriff's department. And it was just a release for me to just draw and create something. So I started teaching myself how to draw on a computer. So that kind of transferred over to, wow, this is a cool medium for me. If I have to make corrections on a painting or whatever, it's quick and easy to do. So that's a lot of stuff I do now is on just doing my sketching on computer.
All right.
I've upgraded to the iPad Pro, so I have a stylus now. So.
I was going to say, are you using Apple Pencil instead of finger? That's awesome. So, you know, as you're going through concepts and you're sending stuff in and you're painting, you know, you've got a lot, and not only that, but you're getting to play with your childhood, right? Looney Tunes, Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
That's kind of pretty awesome. Is there a piece that when you were working on it, so we've got tribute pieces like Tandem Trouble and the Tube, you know, Hey Look Over There and the Mystery Machine. Were there pieces when you first kind of got into this that you're like, I've always wanted to paint this. This is it. Like, so you got Me, Myself, and IE, right? You're locked in. That Chuck Jones Galleries is like, hey, let's see what else you got. What was something that was really standing out that you really wanted to tackle?
Well, you know, I try to challenge myself every time that I do a painting. I try to do something different every time. And when I did Tandem Trouble in a Tube, that I just kind of did something new. You know, I did this splatter technique with this paint, and it's just like, that was fun.
Well, I love the color in this. I love the composition of the piece. You know, I love the homage that it's to. And while we have this up there, what I wanted to mention is, got chuckjonescatalog.com/Dan-Bowden, right? And if people, you've got some really awesome originals up there, and if people purchase an original, you will do a custom sketch for them. We'll show that in a second. But for this piece specifically, if they get a limited edition, they get an 8x10 of this on wood, which I think is friggin' awesome, because what a format to put this painting on for an edition that you get with a gift for getting a limited edition. I love the color in this piece. I'm a huge beach bum, beach fan. So I loved everything. When this first came out and they released it, I was like, holy crap, man. That's unbelievable. And I couldn't see everything, obviously you can't see stuff in a picture as well until you see an actual original. So love that whole technique that you did. Did you find yourself when you were doing it kind of almost a little hesitant because you're like, man, what if I screw this up, then I got to repaint?
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, it's like, am I going to be able to even pull this thing off? And but that's what's so fun about paint, because it's so forgiving. Because if you make a mistake, you just do it again.
Well, easy for you to say. I go cry in a corner, but that's another story.
Well, I have a painting of it's a World War I, a dogfight. It was a 4x6 painting that I just finished not too long ago. Something that I just had to do for myself, just challenge myself. And there's 2 other paintings underneath that painting because I didn't like how the first 2 were coming out. So I just gessoed over the other 2 paintings and just.
Why not start over, right?
It's like the thickest paint I've ever put on a canvas before.
And it's a big piece too, isn't it?
4x6, yeah. 4
by 6 feet. So it probably weighs now about 60 pounds.
It's heavy, yeah.
Get out the mounting brackets for the wall. Yeah. So I love traveling around other artist studios, when we're getting to kind of have this intimate look into the creative, bastion that is where people reside and produce all these wonderful pieces. And you're just as big of a Star Wars nerd as I am, which I think is fantastic because you relate to each other on so many different levels. And Helen, if you can go to the left of the, well, we can start, there you go. So I love all the figures. I find that in every single artist studio, we all have toys, tchotchkes, you name it, right? Your collection is pretty darn fantastic. Ooh, look at that. There's the trombone and the hair. Dan Bowden. Look at you. All right. So you've got a pretty sweet setup. And, if you go to, I love the goofy, I love the goofy Chewbacca, like all this stuff. You and I have the same Mickey Mouse there from, I forget what the video game it was, but currently my youngest son is running around with that paintbrush. We collect these things to be inspired. And what I love too, nice K2SO, by the way, as we go, can we take a look out the window? Do you mind real quick? What a view to paint from.
Oh yeah.
All that natural light, it reminds me of, like Dr. Seuss, and he's in La Jolla, right? And he overlooks the beach and he's painting and, like he's just creating in this gorgeous setting. Yeah. And man, do you have a gorgeous setting outside your studio to paint from? Do you find that it kind of feeds itself to you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this whole area, I got kind of drawn to it because we're not too far down the road from Sedona, Arizona, the Red Rocks, where, Disney, he got inspired from Big Thunder Railroad from coming out and seeing the rocks. And, it's every time I go into Sedona, I'm just like blown away by the beauty, so yeah, it's easy to get inspired out here.
Yeah, I can see that. And you've got, like, I've got dogs, right? And you've got and we did this with Rob Cass too. Rob Cass had this adorable little basset hound that he just got as a puppy. So where's your dog at, man?
Let me see.
She's probably sleeping. Her. She's a 13-year-old Boston Terrier.
Which my wife loves Boston Terriers. So come on now. That's adorable. Right?
There she is.
Wake me up. I don't need to be on TV. She's kind of giving you the eye. I know, we woke you up. I'm sorry, dear. I'm sorry. So, you know, as we get in, and what I'm going to have you do here too is we definitely want to see you paint live, man, because you've got an incredible talent, and you've been blessed by that. And I know your faith plays a strong part in everything you do here and all the purpose.
Sure.
So what I find incredible is this passion that you had and that you have that started when you were younger. You know, sometimes the path ahead of you isn't what you think it's going to be. And yet you've got this purpose still. And he found that avenue for you in what you're doing now, which I think is amazing, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so, and I love that. You know, we've had numerous conversations about that, and it's something that just adds to that level of respect that I have for you as an individual, as just a human being. So, as we get into these pieces for you to, you know, that we want to, because we want to see you paint, I wanted to tell everybody that they have questions. They're on Facebook watching right now. They can pipe those in. Robert's monitoring Facebook. I'll see the question come up. So we'll take audience questions. If you're on the Zoom chat right now, go ahead into the chat. You can pop a question to Dan, and we'll make sure to ask him that. Any inquiries, something else you want to see in the studio that he's got around. I love the Star Wars pieces that you did, because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. So I love that whole Anakin montage thing. So why don't you, as we're going to cut to you as,
Sure.
Yeah, in the, hi dear, as I have one of my tiniest children. This is the lovely thing about pandemic TV, right? Is the fact that anything can happen. Remember that dude who's in Britain or whatever it was, and his daughter crashes the whole thing, and the wife is freaking out, and he's on CNN or something like that, or BBC. And it was funny. It was like, haha. And now these moments are just all the time. It's just a normal thing.
Yeah.
So let's go to Dan let's get you started up on this painting. And this is Always Watching. I love Ralph and Sam. Tell me about this piece. Why is it that you wanted to do this piece?
Well, I mean, just something about, like, it was funny, like, working in law enforcement and working in court, when you go, you have these adversaries all the time, you know, the two different sided, the attorneys. And during their working time, it's like they were all serious and, you know, at each other's throat at times, and, you know, this argument, and then at the end of the day, it's like, you know, the best friends, and their business is like done. It's like, wait a second, you know, and that's what I like about these guys, is that they're working all the time, and he's always trying to get the sheep and stuff, but at the end of the day, they clock out, and then they're friends again, you know. So
Well, that's what I find and I love those cartoons, and it is hilarious because they're, you know, their day job is to stop the other, right, from devious activity, and then when they're done for the day, they're just done. They put it aside. So yeah. I love that explanation of it. So is there, as you're doing, you know, your technique, do you work background to foreground? I see that you sketch everything out, you know, to start. Are you sketching with paint? Are you sketching, like, I know it freaks me out, like if I start to try to sketch with paint, because I'm not ever sure how it's going to come out. How do you, when you start this process, get it all down?
My first bit is doing a pencil line on the canvas, and then I've noticed when I work with pencil, it tends to smear. So that's why I do a light outline, depending on, you know, which colors I'm going with. They blend in easier. So he's mostly brown, trees are brown, he's brown, stuff like that. So I just chose a light color brown, and I just paint them in with a brush, just outline it with a brush.
So you'll paint those lines in kind of that general color of whatever the piece is going to be, and you'll paint over your pencil lines.
Yeah, I'll paint right up to my pencil lines.
So are you doing acrylic? Are you doing gouache? Are you doing oil?
I do acrylic. When I was like, I guess I just don't know any different, but my high school teacher told me, if you can learn to paint with acrylic, you can paint anything. So I'm like, all right, I'll buy that. So he got me hooked on acrylic, and I've learned how to make it blend, um, and get the colors to kind of work with each other. So, um, I've tried oils, and oils take too long to dry. So I love the effect of acrylic, how you work it and then it's dry. Well, let's do it. Let's paint some more,
So are you using a wet palette for your acrylics, or are you just going straight paint on palette?
Yeah, this is a wet palette.
Right. So here's what people need to know about a wet palette and acrylics, and it's what is frustrating at the same time that it's glorious. Acrylics dry fast, and Tim Rogers said,
Yeah, it has an underlying sponge that's wet, and the paper on top of it. So this is damp when I touch this, but it keeps the paint from drying out, because acrylics will dry out extremely fast, and so I'll be basically wasting my paint all the time, because um, as much paint as I need to cover large areas and mix it up, I'll be mixing paint all the time. So um, the wet palette just keeps it more to consistency of when it's coming out of the tube than, working it to the end when it's drying.
which I think is awesome, because acrylics, like for what you said, the great thing is it dries fast, so you can go over stuff. The terrible thing is it dries fast, so you better get your paint down. So those wet palettes come in handy. And so I had a fun fact come in that Chuck used to paint with ink his lines for the limited edition cell art. So you're kind of in that tradition of Chuck Jones in that unique way of how you're putting your lines down. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't either. So what is your favorite character to draw? Like, what's your favorite character?
My favorite character. I think Daffy Duck. He has so many different expressions. He's because he's got, I mean, just a multitude. He's not an angry duck all the time, but he's also, I don't know. His expressions are just unlimited. So.
Well, and I love the fact that that Chuckism of always take your work but never yourself seriously. And in the ones that we're showing here, that he's very proud of himself, right, and what he thinks he can accomplish, right, and very just headstrong, and which is hilarious, because that's what leads to his demise in most cases. And I love the fact that Porky, like Chuck would put Porky in as his sidekick as the comedy relief, because I would laugh just as much at Porky's reactions.
Oh, sure.
Especially Robin Hood Daffy. Like, that is probably the best laugh scene. I laugh every single time. And then when you see Daffy start to laugh with him, because how can you not? It's infectious. I love that scene, and I think this encapsulates it perfectly. And again, we've got this up at chuckjonescatalog.com/Dan-Bowden. And the original is up there, so you can see the short end of the stick. So Dan's original of this is available. It's a fantastic piece. And Dan, as we start to, I'd love to have you start on,
Sure.
oh, wait, here, this is what I wanted to show first. All right, so if you get an original, and I love this sketch. If you get an original, Dan will do one of these, and why don't you go ahead and explain what you'll do for somebody who purchases an original?
Well, from what I understand, it's like a character of your choice. If there's like a certain scene that you like, I'll work something up that kind of captures that scene. And
you're doing color, you add in marker, you're doing kind of like a custom drawing, which has a pretty decent value. And for anybody who buys an original, I think is awesome. I love the idea of picking, like I've got more than a handful of favorite scenes, favorite characters in those scenes. And again, Robin Hood Daffy, which is one of my all-time favorites. So if you're watching one of these, the value of the drawing, by the way, is $750, which is not chump change. So Dan's gonna pull off one of these masterpieces if you get one of his original masterpieces, and that is his gift to you, which I think is amazing. So Dan, as you start to go ahead, and why don't you go ahead and start in on your painting? And
Okay.
while you start in on that, what I continually am inspired by fellow artists and what they do in their own craft is the fact that it's not just about themselves. They're also, they have causes, things that they believe in, that they give back. And you and your wife do some pretty decent volunteer work locally to help out your community. And I wonder if you just kind of take a couple minutes, like, is it you guys are at the local food pantry that you guys are volunteering and helping people out? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, our church, we do weekly, we do a food pantry. Uh, we get donations from St. Mary's that's located down in Phoenix. And they send us food, and we give out as much as we can to the community. And we had just an increase of people like you wouldn't believe when this whole situation started with the COVID-19 thing. And so people are needy during this time, and we're gonna just give till they can't take it anymore.
So is that something you guys started, and obviously faith plays a very important part in both you and your wife, in your lives as you navigate through this. Have you found something in, what you've been doing, because this is several months now, where it was just kind of something that struck you, that kind of blew you away, that you were like, kind of a blessing to you as you're blessing others?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's one of the reasons I believe why we're down here is to encourage other people and give back to people and let them see Jesus through us. I just want to see people just learn about how they can better their lives, and you got to be that example to them.
Well, I like the fact that you do that by action. A lot of people do that just by words, but you guys, you walk the walk and not only talking the talk. So that's awesome. And have you found that people who maybe have, like, they got to know you as, your deputy sheriff Bowden, right? Was there experiences when people, because I know you used to do like cards, because I would see the sketches on Instagram and you would put them up there. So was there a point in time where, like, your fellow sheriffs were like, holy crap, you can do what?
Oh yeah.
And then what happened?
Well, I find myself, I'm doing like retirement pieces for people, challenge coins for the department, t-shirt designs. I was like, wait a second, what? Yeah, so yeah, they found out that I could do art. So
when did they find out? How far into your 18-year career were they like, where has this been?
Oh boy, let's see. Probably. I mean, I kind of kept it secret for a while, but I don't even know how I got started, but had to be probably at least halfway through my career. All of a sudden,
It's probably like you were in a meeting or something and they left a whiteboard in there and you did a drawing and you left it there for the next one. Was it something cool? Like, was it something like one of those things where you're like, hey, well, I'm just gonna leave this here, and it was a joke?
probably. I think somebody knew that I could draw something, so it kind of started from there.
And then you get the request to do everything.
Everything, yes.
Well, and I love some of even the earlier stuff when you're sketching. You can go ahead and keep painting as you were doing some things, and I love your your posts, and when you'll do something topical, whether it's 4th of July or some Memorial Day something, and you've got some really cool sketches that you do, not just, you know, Chuck Jones, but, you know, famous historical figures and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, on my whiteboard drawings. Yeah.
Yes, your
Yeah.
whiteboard drawings.
Yeah. So at that time, I was assigned to family law court, and so that's a pretty bad assignment within the sheriff's department because it's like controlled domestic violence, you know, because people come into that part of the courthouse are not usually happy with each other. So it's not the best assignment to have. So we had a break room with a whiteboard in it, and um, it just kind of sat there. Somebody had done like a Where's Waldo drawing on it from like, how long was that on there? And, you know, I just said, well, give me a dry erase. Let me put something on there. So I wanted to put something positive, and so that's kind of where that started, where I'd come up with a quote. I'd find a quote from somebody famous or something inspirational. Now, weekly, I was doing a drawing in there, and all the guys on our break time during lunch, they'd watch me draw, you know.
Which is awesome. So as you're laying down color and painting some pretty awesome trees, I've got from a question coming in. Did you ever sketch any of the court proceedings you witnessed?
Yeah, I did. Okay. And I mean, the sheriff's department is kind of an interesting type of assignment within law enforcement because sheriff's department handles the jails, the courts, and also the patrol. So I've done patrol too for many years. But when I was working in the courts, part of my assignment, I worked in a court that had jury trials. And so jurors, you know, just like people, they're right there in front of you. So I find myself practicing doing drawings of the jurors, cartoon style and stuff like that. And, you know, it was a way to help pass the time in court. So
did you keep those drawings?
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to them. I would show them to the clerk and different people, and you know, people would be like, "Hey, that's that person that was sitting over there," and stuff like that. And so I don't know what happened to them. To be honest, I don't
Wait,
think
I don't know what happened to him. The off the record answer or the on the record answer? Which one is it?
It's the on the record. Honestly, I don't know what happened with them.
Oh man. So as you continue to lay down some color and go through, you know, first of all, these two paintings, these two work in progresses are Foursome and Always Watching you can actually purchase them now on chuckjonescatalog.com/Dan-Bowden and check out these before they're even finished, which you're kind of one of the bigger dudes in Chuck Jones Gallery. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're kind of a big deal. So like your art sells really well, and for obvious reasons, because of look at the humor and the thought and everything that goes into it. And Bruce, by the way, says hello.
Oh, hi, Bruce.
Hello to Bruce.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've had the pleasure to get to know you guys over Jones family gatherings, red dots, whatever, you know, all kinds of goodies. And I'm always fascinated by just kind of your approach to your work, you know, what comes out of it. You've always been, you know, just the nicest people to get to know and chat with. So as we take a look here, we got a few minutes left as you're working on this piece. Where do you, like, I'm not even going to give you where you're going to be in 5 years, because I don't even think any of us knows where we're going to be in like 5 months. So as you look forward into like the stuff that you're doing, is there a style, or is there kind of a technique or something that you're like, you know what, I've kind of wanted to experiment with this, and something that you're kind of looking forward to, maybe, I don't know, seeing what happens, getting a little experimental?
Yeah, I guess I really haven't thought it out that far, but I'm not satisfied with just staying where I'm at one level. I'm always trying to improve every time I put pen to paper, or paint the canvas or anything like that. So yeah, I'm always looking to try something different, or um, looking for ways to improve on what I'm doing. So
So
um,
I'm just going to tell you right now, you got some serious interest in this piece. I can hear the chatter. So as we're coming to the top of the hour again, chuckjones.com, or sorry, chuckjonescatalog.com/Dan-Bowden. Scott, I wanted to put up the image one more time of the custom sketch, which he does add color to. And for anybody, you're looking at an original going up right now, which maybe, who knows, it may be gone by the time we're done with this show. Anybody that buys an original, Dan will do a character, or are you doing one? Are you doing a couple? Like, what are you doing? I'm not gonna like put you on the spot and be like, Dan's gonna do 18 characters.
yeah, I'll do like a famous duo, or if there's a single, I'll do that. But yeah, I mean,
All right, so we'll cap it at 2, and I won't throw you under the bus and be like, I'm like, Dan's gonna do all kinds of magic for you. Just check this out. All right, so Dan will do a famous duo or an individual, your character, your choice scene,
that's right.
for the purchase of an original, which is awesome. Man, I'll bet you the one that's on the easel right now sells before we're done. And if you have a limited edition, Scott, if you can put that up real quick, of tubular. So if you get a limited edition, there is an 8x10 on wood, which I love prints on wood, like metal, wood, different kind of features. This one right here. So this was an 8x10. It's valued at $100, and so that's your gift if you grab one of his limited editions. Probably one of your most famous pieces we're seeing right now with me, myself, and IE. So Dan, I want to say, as we close it out here at the top of the hour, and we're looking at your artwork scrolling across, and my probably, even though it's hard to pick a favorite, the first time I saw that, the ugliest of them all, man, I was blown away. I'm like, holy crap, look at that. All the stuff that you did to put into it. So on closing thoughts, sir, I just wanted to say, you and your wife have been absolutely fantastic to get to know. As I brought my wife out to Red Dots, and then we started having more children, because I have a former Mrs. Olson, and when that was, and I have 2 children from a previous marriage, and when I got remarried, we had more, because why not? And so you guys, Helen brought out stuffed animals for the kids, and you guys always made it a point to just be very open and loving with all of us, with my family when we would come out, and you guys have always impressed me, and your talent, sir, is just insanely awesome. So I wanted to thank you, to both of you, for just being wonderful people to get to know. For those of you who will get a chance to meet the fabulous, yes, Helen, you can, hold on, go back, don't worry about me, go back to Dan, pop in, there's your better half. Hi, Helen. Helen's been doing all the B-roll here for the back of us, and thank you for doing that. And oh, dude, all right, so Always Watching is sold. So there you go, you didn't even finish it, and it's yeah, see, look at that. So I just wanted to say the 2 of you are fantastic people. You, sir, specifically, I have a high amount of respect for you, for just everything that not only you've accomplished, for what you believe in, for how that's carried you, And, you know, I want to say that even though, you know, you look at stuff like what you mentioned with, you know, the Art Institute and stuff, and I look at things like that as the best thing that never happened to you, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Because if it did, who knows where you would be? And really, you're exactly where you should be. And I find that a blessing because you bless so many other people. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you in your studio. And any
pleasure.
parting thoughts from you, sir?
Well, you know, I just want to put that message out to every parent. If you see a child that has a certain gift that they're good at, just promote that. Just encourage that child, and you know, who knows what you'll have on your hands. So I think that's kind of the whole message that we need to start doing with everybody. Just try to encourage people. You know, that's I think that's why we're here.
Absolutely. And how perfect that you would say encourage the child as you are wearing the child on your shirt.
There you go. That's right. So true.
Absolutely, man. And so, Dan, so again, thank you so much for a wonderful experience in your home. Thank you for sharing this with us. Thank you, Helen, for doing all the behind the scene work and showing us all these amazing things. We really appreciate that. Again, people at chuckjonescatalog.com/Dan-Bowden to take a look at all the artwork that he's got up there, originals and limited editions, and he's got some wonderful gifts for you if you do purchase those. Dan, I just, you know, I want to say thank you. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I can't wait to see how these come out finished. Obviously the one's sold, so there you go. We'll get to see the finished sold painting and along with Foursome. Thank you so much, man. And we look forward to seeing you guys in person, hopefully sometime soon.
Thank you, Ben. I look forward to it. Awesome.
Absolutely. All right, guys, have a wonderful night and thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.